I've got a piece of 28 count Monaco here that we coffee tea dyed using the tutorial that we posted previously. 2 strands of Aura floss, and then a size 26 needle. To start our floss, we come up from the back and flip the fabric over, and we leave about a 1/4 inch tail. So you grab that with your first finger, flip it back over, and now over 2. So
that was more like a 1/2 inch tail.
1/4, half. I wasn't good at math. So the sewing method comes between these two.
You were too.
These two strands on the fabric, down in the bottom corner, and then over 2 again. So back through that corner hole. So.
Am I supposed to be rocking back and forth while I hold this?
Yes, please do. Now, if I wanted to go vertically, again, I would sew and make my X, but I would come back up through the top X, the top left corner.
We have done this 547 times, so it's hard.
And down through the corner. Now, say I wanted to go back to my right. Then if I were to go back to my right, I have to skip a stitch. So I have to skip 1 and go all the way over, make my X, and then I can sew backwards. Because if I were to do it in that first hole, I would... That's the singing part of this video. We also did a musical. I would take out the floss from my original stitch. So you have to skip a hole if you're going back to the right. When you're going to the left...
He's had a nap and eaten 3 meals in the amount of time that we've been trying to do this.
You can keep going to the left. And then if I want to go down, I just skip 2, go down. Again, sew, down. And there you have it. And then to finish a stitch, we don't do anything fancy. We flip our fabric over again, run our needle up through a couple stitches, pull it out, and snip it.
Where the heck did it go?
And snip the fabric. So our backs, not all the time are they neat, but the front is good.
This is Free Range from Cricut Collection, and I'm using Classic Colorworks Holly Berry 2 strands over 2 threads on our coffee tea dyed Monaco, and I'm just filling in this chicken, and I've left about a 1/2 inch tail behind here, and then I'm just stitching over the top of it. And I go up and down or sideways or even around in circles with the variegated floss, depending on how I want the variegation to be. And this one, I think I've just done it. This was one of my mania starts, and I think that the only time I worked on it was that day in May a year ago. But I'm just going vertical with my stitches, and I have my thumb and my index finger on the top of the fabric, and my other fingers on the bottom. They kind of help with the needle underneath. And it's really hard to do this on camera.
You get stage fright.
It's not that. It's just
hard to see. You gotta make sure.
Yep, and my threads keep messing up, and not that it's any user error or anything. It's totally user error. It's funny that you use your needle to straighten out your stitches and I use my thumb.
I don't think that was said. So in my video, I didn't show it the 47th time we did it, but I take my needle and I kind of pet my stitches to lay them the right way. She uses her thumb to...
If I see something that's not laying flat, then I use my thumbnail to go over it again. But when I go to the next row, I couldn't come up where I normally do because that would pull the stitch out. So I go over to the other one, and then you're kind of poking around that way. So we hope that this has given you an idea of how we stitch. This was really hard, and we know we're not the best at doing these kind of videos, so.
We wanted to get the first video out there. I'm sure there'll be more in the future on how to stitch, but our setup was really difficult today.
Yeah, and just because this is the way that we do things doesn't make it right. There's no cross-stitch police. You do whatever you need to do to get the job done, and this is how we get our job done, so.
If you use a hoop and you're comfortable using a hoop, stick with a hoop. Same with a Q-snap, but if you're new and you want to learn a different way, this is how we do it, stitching in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you show them how you end a thread?
Sure. I just flip it over and I go underneath a few stitches. I'm not the best about keeping all my threads cleaned up. I do that afterwards usually, unless I'm doing a lot with the white because I don't want it showing through, but I'm not real picky about trimming it perfect. My back never looks like my front.
All right. Thank you, guys.